This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Hour number 4 of VSiN PrimeTime alongside Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Tim Murray, hoping to catch up with Steve Sands here in a little bit. Maybe next segment we'll check in with Steve Sands from the Golf Channel down there at the Valero Texas Open, which gets underway tomorrow. Ludwig Oberg is your favorite. Got a lot to get to here in this final hour, JVT. As we have mentioned, the Boston Celtics, one of two double-digit favorites to lose outright tonight. This from Julian Edlow of DraftKings. Celtics are 24-13 straight up at home this year. 7 outright losses as a double-digit favorite. The Boston Celtics. But it is worth noting, as many people have mentioned, and I think Scott Seidenberg was on this and others have jumped on it as well, following losses, the Boston Celtics have come out with a bit of vengeance following that. But you do have some questions about maybe the motivation of this Boston Celtics team, as the Cavaliers won today, Celtics lost, essentially locking up the 2 seed for the Celtics and the 1 for the Cavaliers. So do the Boston Celtics down the stretch maybe get pretty restful? As, by the way, today snapped I think 10-game winning streak for the Boston Celtics, losing by 21 to the Miami Heat.
Yeah, there's not motivation to win these games. They're locked in. So you do wonder if you start to see some more rest for guys. Guys start to miss some games. Today, too, you saw a couple of guys sit. I think Al Horford was among them. So I don't think it'll be the craziest thing in the world that this team doesn't continue the trend of locking down opponents coming off of a loss, only because you might start to see some guys take some days off. Now, you have the schedule in front of you?
Yes.
Do they have any back-to-backs left?
They have one back-to-back left. They're at New York next Tuesday, and then they play Orlando on the road the next day.
And that game is going to mean more for New York. Actually, let me double-check the standings.
Definitely going to mean a lot for Orlando, right?
Yeah. I mean, so in theory, the Orlando game, yes, because Orlando, of course, is trying to maintain its spot as the top play-in team. They're not going to catch the Milwaukee Bucks for the 6th seed, but Orlando, remember how the play-in works. You're going to play at home, especially for the 7th seed. You get to play at home. If you lose that game, you get to host the next game too. Yep. So it is very important for Orlando that they play. They can mathematically still catch Milwaukee. I would doubt that it happens, but again, they are still alive for that too. So I think that this is a spot where you're maybe looking at the Celtics down the stretch not being as potent off of these losses.
All right, let's head to our progressive guest line and welcome in friend of the show from the Golf Channel. You'll see him on their coverage of the Valero Texas Open. It is Steve Sands, who joins us right now, who, Steve, it's been a busy couple of days for your fandom as you get a new head coach, Buzz Williams, there for your beloved Terps. But people don't know this. You're a Colorado State guy, too, so Ali Faroukmanesh coming in. Man, busy day for your 2 beloved hoop squads there, huh?
Well, first of all, what are the odds that they play each other? Come on, Tim.
And the way that it did?
Give me a break. And here's what everybody kept asking me, what are you rooting for? I said, look, what I want more than anything is for CSU to prove to the world that it can play with any team at any level, which it did. What I want more than anything is for Maryland to play a good, tight game with them and win, because they have a chance to go all the way. And CSU, I love them, but they don't have a chance. And the third thing I wanted more than anything was no heartbreak on either side. How'd that go? that part was missing. Oof, man, I think it's the best game of the tournament so far.
Yeah, it was a
great game.
Yeah, it really was. Steve Sands joining us here, courtesy of our progressive guest line. Steve, as you get ready to cover the Valero Texas Open tomorrow, historically, how does this tournament usually play out the week before the Masters? Obviously there's that, dangling carrot for the winner who, if he has not qualified for the Masters, he gets that, exemption into the Masters. So historically speaking, how does this tournament usually play out from kind of a motivational standpoint?
To me, this tournament has always been, it's feast or famine, meaning you can get McIlroy and Spieth and Zach Johnson and all these guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame. And then you can get a J.J. Spawn 2 years ago to get there and get the victory and get into the Masters, or Akshay Bhatia last year. all of a sudden catapults himself into a different category. The golf course is interesting because last week is the week that they replicate the Masters conditions in Houston at the Texas Children's Houston Open. This week, the golf course looks and plays and feels nothing like next week's event at the Masters. The guys who are here this week, Tim, are here because they like to play the week before a major. Doesn't matter that the golf course is dissimilar to Augusta National. The guys who skip this week are the ones who just say, you know what, I don't like playing the week before the first major of the year, and I just want to be practicing at home. So it's kind of feast or famine here this week when it comes to stars versus guys who are not already yet in the Masters.
So, Steve, what does the course look like, and what kind of golfer you think succeeds on a course like this?
It's a course in great shape. It's a very tough course. And if the wind blows, which it tends to blow here in the hill country of Texas, here in San Antonio, it's one of those golf courses where you've got to hit the ball through the wind, into the wind, whether it's downwind or not, but you've got to be able to flight your ball. So it's, if you're a great iron player, if you're a razor sharp ball striker, that's why a guy like Corey Connors has won here a couple times. That's why, guys like that who can strike the ball crisply. Tommy Fleetwood, if he's going to win his first PGA Tour event, this week could be the week. I love those two guys this week, because those are the kind of guys who can play on a golf course that's difficult and also perhaps with windy conditions.
Corey Connors and Fleetwood right now, if you're looking at DraftKings, both at 16-1. Ludwig Oberg is your betting favorite at 12-1. We're talking to Steve Sands, who joins us courtesy of our Progressive Guest Line. He's down there at the Valero Texas Open. By the way, is this just a wrinkle of just randomness? But the fact that the Valero Texas Open and the Final Four going on in the same city, how nutty is it right now in San Antonio?
Oh, it's fantastic. We've had a couple of those in Scottsdale. Not that they need to get jacked up in Scottsdale by any means, but when you have the WM Phoenix Open and the Super Bowl in town, it's happened a few times. You know what it is, Tim? But it's just fun. The town's buzzing. You can just feel the energy. There are a lot of people who will come out to the golf course tomorrow and Friday before that Final Four on Saturday, who would not normally come to the golf course. But you can just kind of feel a really cool sports energy. This event is incredibly well attended and very popular in this community. It's the 103rd year they've had. It's the third oldest event on the PGA Tour, and every year it's been in San Antonio. Different courses in San Antonio, but it's always been in San Antonio. It's a very big deal in this town, this tournament. And when you have the Final Four, it just adds to the energy, and it's just a very cool vibe. It'll get better. It's, let's say, Wednesday. It'll start really cranking up tomorrow night.
Real quickly, Steve, yesterday or last week, I should say, and shouts to Wes Reynolds and Kelly Bidlin, both giving out Min Woo Lee to win last week. You mentioned that course replicates or tries to replicate Augusta. Is Min Woo Lee someone that you should look to back next week at Augusta?
It's a great question. Just talking to Padraig Harrington about this, and Padraig Harrington, 3-time major winner, Hall of Fame player. And he said, what do you think of Min Woo Lee's chances next week? And I said, I would have loved him if it was wet. The forecast is supposed to rain a little bit this Sunday. It's supposed to rain a lot on Monday. And right now, anyway, there's a lot of time between now and next week. But after Monday, it's not supposed to rain at all, Tim. So you're talking about a firm, fast Masters, which we haven't had in quite some time. And I don't like Min Woo Lee's chances on that type of golf course. If it was wet and crazy long, the way it is when it gets wet at Augusta, I think Min Woo Lee would have had a much better chance. So I do not think it'll be Min Woo Lee's time next week, unless it does get really soggy there, and it doesn't look like it's going to be.
Any guys worth fading here this coming weekend, or any other bets that are worth recommending to you, Steve?
Well, I would not play Ludwig this week. I would not play the favorite this week. I think, now I'm not saying Ludwig is here just to work on his game and not win, trying to work on his game for next week. I'm not saying that at all, because I think all these professionals give you a professional effort. But if I was going to fade someone, I would fade Ludwig for sure.
Is there a guy?
Because he has his eyes on next week.
Yeah.
And to me, those guys almost never win the week before a major. It's very rare to win the week before a major and then go on and win the major championship that following week. I just don't see it.
Who would be I know this is not a very professional way to ask this, but who would be a cool story come Sunday for you, Steve, that is, like J.J. Spawn a couple weeks ago, that can get on that jet come Monday and fly to Augusta and get that exemption?
Oh, man, for an exemption's sake, I think it'd be really cool to see, Denny McCarthy win here, because Denny's come close in playoffs. If you remember last year, shot a 28, Tim, on the back nine on Sunday to force a playoff with Akshay Bhatia, and then he hit a wedge into the water at 18, and it went away. I think, to me personally, and not because he's a Maryland guy, but he went to Virginia, but he grew up in Maryland. He's a ball boy, actually, for Gary Williams teams when he was a kid. I think Denny McCarthy, because he's come so close. I'm still stuck on the Tommy Fleetwood story, Tim. He's never won before on the PGA Tour, which is just bizarre because he's such a great player, but he's never won on the PGA Tour. So to me, if we can get those two guys, obviously you'd love to see Ludwig and those kind of things. But to me, if you could get those two guys coming down the stretch trying to win for the first time, I think that would be very, very cool.
I got 20 seconds. As someone who hates Duke with a fiery passion, will you be wearing Houston red at the Alamo Dome on Saturday night?
I mean, I could not be a bigger Cougars fan this week. I mean, honestly, no offense to my lovely bride whose father went to Duke, but please, Houston, end this nightmare for all of us.
Steve, always appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week before Augusta.
All right, fellas. Great talking.
There he is, the great Steve Sands from the Golf Channel. We'll get you updated on everything going on across the NBA and a little crown next.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is VSiN PrimeTime here on a Wednesday evening alongside JVT. I'm Tim Murray. The Oklahoma City Thunder putting up a cool 41 in the first quarter against the Detroit Pistons. JVT, you came on the VSiN weekend morning line every Saturday and Sunday, by the way, 10 to 1 p.m. Eastern time.
I was like, I don't come on every. Okay.
And it was right after the trade had gone down of Luka going to Los Angeles, and you had said that had just, in your eyes, made it stronger. You had a more conviction on the Oklahoma City Thunder to win the Western Conference. As we are getting closer and closer to the start of the postseason, has your position on the Thunder strengthened that they are going to roll through the West, or do you have some concerns out there with maybe the way the field is shaping up?
I have some concerns that the Western Conference postseason is going to be very boring, just given the fact that the Thunder are going to romp through this mother. So, yeah, it's so today on a numbers game, Gil, when I wasn't taking shots at you and Kelly Bidlin for your blandness, he was asking me, if I come to you from the future and I tell you that the Thunder don't win it, who would it be? And I was like, I don't know, I guess the Clippers, right? But as I told his audience several times, but I don't think this is the case. So they're all playing for second. The Thunder are the Thunder. I think they're a great team. I think we've established this at this point. A team that can win 70 games, a very complete team. You're starting to see them roll out the two bigs now because they're starting to get healthy. They have elite perimeter defenders. They have everything you need. Bases loaded. Braves, please, let's go. Do not blow this thing.
By the way, they have teetered. They just had a man on the Dodgers had a man on third after Shohei was up, and I think they doubled him up.
So pitcher, I don't know who the reliever is. So pitcher, Mookie Betts hits a liner right at the pitcher when you were talking to Steve Stans. He snags it, and then the runner was up too far off third.
Nice.
So tossed it over, nifty little double play, and really helped them out there. But going back to the point, no, I don't think so. I think there's certain teams, and I thought this was a great point brought up by Zach Cohen when he was with us earlier. You can go check out the write-up at VSiN.com. He didn't mention this entirely, but he mentioned this with us. Go to VSiN.com as well. You can check out the replays. Whoever is going to get that 7th seed of these, or just fall into that side of the bracket, but specifically of the Timberwolves Clippers, you get into that 7th seed, and you get into the side of the bracket that you don't have to face the Oklahoma City Thunder until you get to a Western Conference Finals. That is a team that is going to, I think, be very dangerous to make a run. That is a side of the bracket that it could ultimately end up with a lot of soft squads on it that you're going to be able to get through when you're talking about the Rockets as the 2 seed there and then moving upward, if that's going to be the case, potentially the Nuggets should they move on. So I think that that's what you're looking for here in the West. Whoever finishes that 7th spot or is going to be on that side of the bracket, those are the teams that if you're going to take a shot in the West, it's worth doing because they at least have a higher ceiling to get to a Western Conference Finals. And then as we always say, you can do something with it if you get to the Western Conference Finals. They will be underdogs against the Oklahoma City Thunder, so you're going to have to work your way around that. But that's, I think, something worth looking at.
Yeah. Right now, it's pretty interesting to look at it. I actually want to see what the price would
careful.
be on to miss or make the playoffs. That is not listed yet, at least for the Grizzlies. Grizzlies. Like, to miss the playoffs, the way they're playing right now, I mean, it might just be better to bet against them in the play-in if they do make it. Obviously, right now they're the 6th seed, but very much teetering on that standpoint. But yeah, I think when you look at the Grizzlies, I mean, clearly a team to fade, as we all know. But
I would generally agree with the premise that the Grizzlies are not good, and I don't think that they're very dangerous. I will say, again, John Morant has shown a little bit of explosiveness these last few games. They have changed their offense. They did get rid of Jenkins. I would agree with the overall premise, but let's watch these last 6 games or so, and let's see if they start to continue to show some improvement. But obviously a team that is fading, as we talked about over the last 23 games, they just have 3 covers. I believe we're floating around the range like 3-19-1 or whatever it is. Whole point here is that they have failed to cover quite a bit over the last month or so. And I think that this is a squad that, as you have covered, as we have covered here, it's a team that against teams with a top 10 net rating, they are believing now 6-19 against those squads. And as you pointed out, I think they've lost 12 or 13 straight to a team with a winning record. So I don't think in the grand scheme of things they are a threat. Having said that, there has been a tangible change. So we'll see if maybe the next few games shows us anything different.
Still to come tonight, we still have one more game to tip off in the NBA. Your beloved Los Angeles Clippers, the biggest favorite of the night. They are an 18-point favorite as Austin Riley strikes out looking with the bases loaded.
Come on, buddy. Let's go. We don't like this. 2 outs?
What do you make? Clippers lay an 18.
Oh, bless you. Look at that.
I tried to hold it in.
Couldn't do
it. Live radio here.
It's an 18-point spread, man. Like, you got better things to do tonight.
we gotta watch the Dodgers and the Braves, baby.
It's an 18.5-point spread with a game total at 218.5.
Gotta tell us where we're at.
It's going to be an ugly game. Wait for a better in-game number, I guess. I mean, to give some credit, as we are seeing the Dogs tonight in an evening where there was a bunch of big point spreads.
Barking.
Spurs an underdog. They are up 71-57, although I don't think that really counts considering the status of the Nuggets roster. But the Hornets underdogs, they ended up covering. Wizards big underdogs, won outright. Heat underdogs, won outright. So it could happen where you're going to stick around and stay inside of this number, but all hands on deck for a Clipper squad that, as Zach pointed out and in his article pointed out as well, firing on all cylinders over the last 12 to 15 games or so, and very much looking to get into the postseason in pretty good form. Wouldn't want to get in front of that train with a team like with the New Orleans Pelicans. Clippers too. I mean, again, when you talk about playoff seeding, as we're discussing this, their remaining schedule, Pelicans, then Dallas twice, but it's a second leg of it's a back-to-back scenario, April 4th and April 5th. So reality is Kawhi Leonard won't play in one of those, but I would assume neither will Derek Lively and or Anthony Davis. So still winnable games there. Home versus San Antonio, home versus Houston. In fact, this New Orleans game is the first of a 5-game homestand for them before they wrap up with the Kings on the road and what could ultimately be a massive game to end the regular season at Golden State.
Quick update from that Denver game that you mentioned, as the Nuggets are without essentially their whole starting lineup here tonight. And Russell Westbrook.
And one of their primary bench pieces, too. Yep.
Russell Westbrook over-under was 22.5 points. And it was interesting because I looked up on a couple of apps. Some didn't even have Russell Westbrook listed, I guess just because of the amount of folks that weren't playing for the Denver Nuggets. But DraftKings had it at 22.5. He's now at 18 points early in the third quarter, so we'll see if Russ ultimately gets there. And you wanted to look at triple-double, 18 points, 6 boards, 5 assists. So got some work to do on the triple-double front, but we'll see if it ultimately plays out. I saw Doug Gazarian, our friend, tweet out, can't believe DeAndre Jordan is playing this many minutes, as DeAndre Jordan got to start tonight, and he has played 17 minutes for the Nuggets, who right now, I mean, they were the favorite, but only up 9, or only down 9, excuse me.
Bad beat tonight, too, in the NBA. Rockets and Jazz, if you had over 143.5 team total for the Houston Rockets, you got hooked. They only ended up with 143 points. So that's a tough one. Jazz are special.
Going to be, well, they'll have the same odds as the Wizards, right? I
also want to point out, and I forgot to bring this up, it's a topic we've covered quite a bit. So Zach came on with us earlier again to reference him, and he gave out, he was on Dallas.
Yep.
Dallas was trailing at halftime against Atlanta at one point, trailed by about 7 or so. But one of the factors he had thrown out there was that Atlanta was on the second leg of a back-to-back. And it's always a question of if situationally you're playing against the negative scheduling spot, when does the fatigue set in? I'm always a proponent of fatigue hits you in the second half, not the beginning of the game. And we are starting another case or another point of evidence to that, too, as the Hawks are getting beat up here in the second half. They've been outscored by 17 so far in the second half, currently trail 108-96. So that second half fatigue angle, very much working out. And Hawks are getting their faces caved in right now.
College hoops going on as we saw Boise State win earlier tonight over Butler. Wow, had a brain fart there. Nebraska right now up a baker's dozen on Georgetown, 34-21. Those two teams will meet on Saturday at T-Mobile Arena. Boise State will get the winner of this one. Our game of the night is Dodgers and Braves, the undefeated Dodgers and the winless Braves. The Dodgers able to get out of a bases-loaded, no-out jam. Not ideal, but hopefully the Braves bullpen can hold on here. Bottom of the 6th, 5-3 in that one. Michael Conforto, who's already gone yard tonight at the plate for the Dodgers. Hey, folks, you're probably not great at betting every sport, so why don't you let Rhythm help you out? The best bettors use data to get ahead, so why not put AI to work for you this March? Rhythm is an app that helps you build personalized betting models, analyze trends, and make sharper picks for every game. So whether you're a seasoned bettor or looking for an edge, Rhythm has you covered with AI-backed projections and insights. Start your free 7-day trial today by downloading the app or visiting rhythm.com. That's RITHMM.com. Bottom 6, Braves 5, Dodgers 3 right now, as that is our primetime game of the night. We'll see if the Dodgers in that potent lineup can ultimately come back and make this a ball game, as Michael Conforto leads off the bottom of the 6th with a walk. It is VSiN Primetime.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is VSiN Primetime alongside Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Tim Murray, live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas, Nevada. Tell you what, man, this game is it's getting a little spicy with the Braves and the Dodgers. 5-3 is the score. Blake Snell, tough go of it for him from a defensive standpoint. You hit on this one, JVT. He had 5 runs allowed on 5 hits. None of them were earned. Blake Snell lasts 4 innings tonight for the Los Angeles Dodgers, throws 80 pitches and relieved of his duties. 5-3, bottom 6. We got a pitching change there as Dylan Lee into the game now for the Braves, as he will face Max Muncy.
I don't think Snell pitched particularly well today.
Yeah.
He was having trouble with the strike zone, having some command issue. I mean, it's Blake Snell, and that was seemingly affecting him because he kept sniping at the home plate umpire, making faces. But to the point of no earned runs, we saw 2 throwing errors. We saw a ball misplayed in center field that helped plate a couple too. So I think that's why those were not earned. But either way, Not a great performance from Snell, not a great performance for the Dodgers at the beginning of this game, but their offense is good. We'll see if they can get back into this against the Braves bullpen.
Right now, the run line is +1.5 plus money at DraftKings if you do think the Dodgers can cut into this deficit. Was once upon a time as high as 3.5. I was able to grab 2.5. So trying to get this middle, which right now would be lovely. If we could just end the game at 5-3, that would be a fantastic
Works for me.
result for all of us. As both JVT and I took the Braves on the run line on the bit elevated price at plus money on the Braves, plus a run and a half in this game against the Dodgers.
You want a stat?
I would love a stat.
Thunder right now, let's double check the score, are up by 14, 55-41 over the Detroit Pistons. They have played 29 games against the Eastern Conference so far this year. Would you care to guess their record? 29 games against the East.
28-1.
Did you already see it?
I knew that stat.
Come on. Do you know their average winning margin
I
against
do
the
not.
Eastern Conference?
I'll say 11.
17.7 points per game. So again, the Thunder, they are 28-1 against the Eastern Conference this season. They have won their games against Eastern Conference teams by an average of 17.7 points per game.
Wow. I was just going to look up real quickly, see if sometimes they have these trends over, record against the other conference. Non-conference games. The Thunder, do you want to know what their ATS mark is against the Eastern Conference? So they're 28-1 straight up. This does not add up to the right number of games, so This seems a bit off.
I was going to say 27.
21-5-4, according to teamrankings.com, when I put in non-conference games. So that's.
I do think they're including the because that's 29, right?
Yeah.
Do you think they're including the play? Remember the tournament?
Oh, maybe
they played an extra game that technically does not count.
Yeah, so they have 30 games right now, part of that.
Yes.
So that might be part of that.
The final was against the Milwaukee Bucks, so that would probably be why.
21-5-4 is their number against that.
One more for you. This ties into last night. I didn't know this one. Do you know what Denver's record is when Nikola Jokic scores 50 or more points this season?
Well, they lost last night.
Actually, all time, actually. So Denver, so regular season and playoffs, 4 times Nikola Jokic has scored 50 or more points. What is Denver's record?
So they're at least have one loss. Since you're asking the question, I'll say 0-4.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
That is crazy.
Guess it tells you. I mean, he needs to score 50 for a reason, so.
Worth noting, just a couple of baseball notes to pass across. Garrett Crochet, who got that big extension just a couple days ago, right? I guess he's enjoying said extension because today he went out and he was phenomenal. He went.
I thought you were going to say he got bombed. He's he must have been out partying.
8 scoreless, 4 hits, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts for Garrett Crochet. Throws 102 pitches this afternoon to get the win over the Baltimore Orioles. And yes, Rafael Devers, not 1, but 2 hits, ladies and gentlemen. Way to go, Rafael Devers, who we said the stat on Monday's show. To start the year, he was 0 for 19 with 15 strikeouts, and Tony Gwynn struck out 15 times in the entire 1995 season.
Wow. Tanner Houck tomorrow for the Boston Red Sox.
So 3-0 the win earlier today. The Padres now 7-0 as they get the win earlier today over the Cleveland Guardians. Dylan Cease was on the hill for said San Diego Padres. He struck out 7, went 6 1/3. Jackson Merrill, he enjoyed his new contract extension as he hit a home run today. So Jackson Merrill signing a 9-year deal, I believe, with the San Diego Padres for I think 138. Is that what I saw? 21 years old. Dude was in high school in 2021, and he just signed a $138 million deal with the San Diego Padres. So Jackson Merrill, hashtag not my rookie of the year, gets it done.
It's nobody's rookie of the year because he did not win it.
That's right.
He wanted to point out, too, one of the things that I've been monitoring, and it's not a big stat because if you paid attention to Major League Baseball last season, we knew about this team, but it continues. Tarek Skubal today, a very good pitcher.
Yes.
Struck out 8 against the Seattle Mariners. Today, coming into this game, the Mariners had struck out 27.4% of the time at the plate. They struck out 9 more times in total today. 8 for Skubal. Hannafy came in and struck out another in 1 1/3 of work. But this has been the angle for me is just keep these K props against the Seattle Mariners lineup, very much something worth tracking. Almost like Chris Macero's doing throughout the season with the run line. I think it's worth your time to continue to play this team over, or should be opposing pitchers over their strikeout props against this team. It has been awful for this Mariners team yet again. And again, 9 strikeouts today, came in striking out 27.4% of the time.
JVT, it looks like, and I'll double check, sometimes the board is a little off when it comes to Caesars William Hill, but it looks like a 5.5 has showed up on the Duke-Houston game. How high will it go? Here at Circa, still at 5. 5's pretty much across the board. DraftKings is a juiced 5.5, but Houston and Duke, this is one where I don't want to call it pros versus Joes, but it does feel like a lot of people, I don't want to speak for everyone, and you're kind of in the Duke camp, which I totally understand. It does feel like the overall consensus from people we talk to is, man, this is an elevated number. But Duke has shown that they're certainly capable of taking care of business against a lot of quality opponent. But how high does this thing go? Do we see a 6 ever?
So Humans, I talked about this yesterday. I thought he had a really good point, which was, I think we do, but it's probably game day.
Yeah.
So if we're to believe the early, if you like those sort of things, betting splits data, which would tell us that the public does like the Duke Blue Devils, then you're going to probably see, when the public really gets involved, which is obviously day before, day of, maybe that 6 flashes then. I don't know if we get to there during the week, but when those bettors start to go out Friday and Saturday and get their bets in, I think we start to see it. So maybe game day flashes. It's also the late game, right?
Yep.
So that's the other part. A
little before 9 o'clock Eastern time.
Yep. The folks chasing or doing whatever, or just wanting some action on the late game, then you'll start to maybe see that really big push and we get to 6. I think it's closer to tip-off, though.
Right now at DraftKings, courtesy of our betting splits over at VSiN.com, this is actually down a little bit, but to your point, you're not going to see that public money really start to come in until Friday, until Saturday, specifically Saturday. 69% of bets, 73% of handle on the Duke Blue Devils, 64% of bets, and 75% of handle on the Florida Gators, minus 2.5, and 78% of bets on the Duke Blue Devils money line, which I can totally envision, especially with the stretch of favorites winning, 14 straight favorites straight up. Mm-hmm. Every single favorite over the weekend won from a straight up standpoint. I think there's going to be a lot of exposure to a Duke Florida money line parlay come Saturday night.
Mm-hmm. Another bad play by the Dodgers here in the field. So
they're sloppy tonight.
They are. Runner advances to third, so the Braves have a runner on third and 1 out, top of the 7th inning. Can we just drive one in, please?
Yeah, the Braves struggled to they got no one home in the 6th with the bases loaded.
No outs right there.
No outs. Oh. Yeah, bases loaded, no outs, and did not get a run home. We'll take a look at tomorrow's NBA card coming up on the other side of the break. But hey, just a reminder, folks, over in your app store, you can check out the VSiN Watch app where you can watch and listen to all of our shows. You can check out show replays. You know, maybe you missed this show. You said, man, really want to hear those that JVT and Murray chop it up. Well, you can check out the show replays. Get it wherever you get your apps, the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, the VSiN Watch app. And if you're a VSiN Pro subscriber, you can stream all that content right to your smart TV.
You can watch me get angry on Saturday when the Auburn game starts at 3:09 p.m. Pacific time.
I think I might have to do that. I might have to have a side screen on you and Will Hill. We also have to this is the last time you and I are together. We'll have to think about some game theory as in our Circa College Hoops Challenge. Paul Stone currently in first place. But
I was like, is there a schedule change I don't know about? You mean before the contest?
Before the contest, yeah. You will be, had to make a little tweak, had a little family business tomorrow to take care of. So much appreciated the flexibility, sir, with that. All right. Put a bow on the show. On the other side of the break, we'll take a look at the NBA slate. We'll revisit some best bets. It is VSiN PrimeTime.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Our VSiN primetime game of the night, the Dodgers and the Braves. Braves up 5-3, but I almost said Matt. JVT, will these missed opportunities come back to bite the Braves in the rear end? Bases loaded in the top of the sixth, no outs, no runs. Man on third in the seventh, no run. 5-3, Braves still have that lead against the Dodgers, as this is going to be a towering flyout here for the Dodgers in the bottom of the seventh.
Definitely thought that was a home run for a split second. And now we got to sweat out the Ohtani at bat.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Again, team total over is hit. Plus 1.5 now is what's at stake. You're sitting on a good middle right now, right?
I am, yeah. I took plus.
Actually, you're sitting on a good. If this holds, this is a good result for you greatly, is it not? You have Braves money line.
Yep.
Plus 1.5.
Yep.
And Dodgers plus 2.5.
Correct.
Wow. This is perfect for you.
Shohei Ohtani could, well, he wouldn't.
Yeah,
He'd still be all right.
You got some wiggle room.
Still got a little wiggle room here.
Yeah, that's right.
A little wiggle room.
Yeah, that's right.
Now,
A little bit of chin music there. Let's go.
as I try to be an eternal optimist here, the Wizards losing was not ideal. But the Wizards are 14-point underdogs tomorrow.
But who
against the
cares?
Orlando Magic.
Come on, you get this home. Ohtani's just swinging.
Every time Ohtani's up,
he
tries to hit one to, I don't know, insert city in California.
He just tries to hit it through the moon. He doesn't try to hit it to the moon. Just a straight line drive.
Little leaguers, watch Shohei Ohtani and swing like him at your game tomorrow.
He got one off the bat.
Yeah,
I think that's going to drop.
Base hit.
Base hit.
So he goes the opposite way, got jammed, but he's able to punch it into left field there. All right, the night has been one of a little bit of dogs biting from the NBA standpoint, as Washington, as a 13.5-point dog, won outright. Miami, as a 10.5-point dog, won by 20. Right now, the Dallas Mavericks, they were the favorites, but they are up in the closing seconds there. Nearing halftime, JVT, in Oklahoma City. Has Detroit made this a bit of a game or not really?
Yes, they have. There was a 14-point game. It is now down to 4. And this is at the break. I don't know if the Thunder get a bucket. So they do. So this is going to be a 6-point deficit for Detroit at halftime. Remember, we have multiple suspensions here. Isaiah Stewart, Marcus Sasser, and no Cade Cunningham due to injury. So it's a thin Detroit team showing a little bit of spunk, as we talked about. The day of the dog, very big point spreads today in the association, yet the Dogs actually having something to say. So we'll see if they can stay inside of this big number. We'll get an updated number for you here. But Detroit, at least, covered in the first half.
Tomorrow, JVT, we were talking so much about the possibility of Golden State and the Lakers meeting in the postseason. We get that tomorrow night. 10 o'clock Eastern. You get Golden State at the Lakers. Early line right now has the Lakers laying 2 against the Golden State Warriors, and the total sitting at 229.5. Also, Memphis is at Miami, and Memphis laying 4.5. So as you look at that kind of jumbled up area in the Western Conference of the 5, 6, and 7 right now, a lot going on for that from a seeding standpoint. But Golden State and Los Angeles, no doubt, going to be a pretty fascinating game tomorrow, especially off of Steph Curry's flamethrower-like performance last night.
Likely our game of the night tomorrow, Golden State and LA, with everything that's going to be at stake. And as you talked about, a brief glimpse into how these teams are going to play one another should they meet in the NBA postseason. And you've got to throw out your best effort because, as you mentioned, there is seeding on the line with a team that you are directly competing with. So I am very, very excited to watch what's going to transpire tomorrow night, and that'll be our game of the night here on VSiN Primetime. I'm calling it now, Justin. Don't let Matt Humans tell you that some crown game is going to take our game of the night tomorrow. It will be in the association. 2-point spread right now in favor of LA with a total of 229.5.
Oh, come on, man. We got the NIT championship tomorrow. You're not going to have Chattanooga, UC Irvine as your game of the night from Hinkle Fieldhouse?
Absolutely pass.
Speaking of the crown, it is going on right now. Nebraska leading Georgetown 37-24. If this holds, Nebraska would cover the 10.5-point spread, and they would take on Boise State on Saturday at T-Mobile Arena in the semifinals of the Crown. Tomorrow, UCF, Cincinnati, and Villanova, USC.
I did want to add to our Lakers conversation there with the Warriors. We do have an early look at the injury report. Jonathan Kuminga questionable to play. Gary Payton will not play. For Los Angeles, only 2 guys listed. LeBron is probable. Maxi Kleba is out. So looks like full all hands on deck, and maybe Kuminga's going to play in this one too. So that would be very good because I want to see them all together. I want to see it all together. I want to see what it looks like. They will play each other. You go back to, remember last year when we talked about that Celtics series and we broke down those matchups, and a lot of those matchups really came to fruition. We had a really good series when we were talking about it from here on VSiN PrimeTime. A lot of that analysis came from watching the two regular season games that they played against each other. So you can learn a lot. And matchups really dictate postseason games. So this is going to be and series, of course. So this is very important to watch.
All right. Final four, of course, coming up on Saturday night. Total is sitting at 160 right now for Florida and Auburn, 160.5 at South Point. Point spread still sits at 2.5. You'll have more time to break this down, JVT. We'll discuss this certainly on VSiN Weekend Morning Line on Saturday as the Dodgers get a single from Ohtani, but nothing more after 7 innings. Braves with a 5-3 lead. Florida Auburn right now. What's your kind of early feel? It seems like you really do like War Eagle in this spot.
Yeah, if I did not have this, I'm pretty sure I would still like Auburn. I can't say that's 100%. No, I do think that Auburn would be the side. I think they have been more consistent for the most part than Florida, especially defensively. That has been a very constant thread for Auburn throughout this entire NCAA tournament. I don't know if you've watched them and thought the same thing.
Yeah.
But I thought their defense has been very solid. And I thought Jim brought up a great point when it came to the rebounding, that the offensive rebounding has been a little bit of an issue, them allowing the offensive rebounding. But the rebounding, I thought, has actually been pretty solid throughout this tournament. They've had some really clutch possessions. Now, some of that mostly on the offensive glass. That's been a little bit of their thing. They've had some really strong offensive rebounding numbers, especially during these 4 games. When you look at these numbers, against Alabama State, offensive rebounding rate of 33.3%, 32.4% against Creighton, 45% of their missed shots against Michigan, they rebounded, not as high against Michigan State. But I think that this is a team that is going to be a pretty solid. And on the flip side, Tim, they've actually done a pretty decent job on defense in terms of the rebounding. No team has rebounded more than a quarter. Actually, I shouldn't say. One team has rebounded more than a quarter of their missed attempts. That was Michigan, 25.6%. I feel like I've kind of trusted this team, and I don't know. They've been. This is totally, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not logical. But at some point, too, am I allowed to say, can Auburn have a good shooting night? Right? They've won these 4 games and they haven't shot the ball well. They were 11.
They had spurts, right? Against Michigan. Denver Jones had that moment when they were down 9, and I'm sure you were pretty excited about it. He went nuts. Tahad Pettiford, has had a couple moments, but I would say, yeah, consistently that's a fair point.
11 of 35, 31.4% against Alabama State. They shot well against Creighton, but just 36%, 7 of 19. 8 of 28 against Michigan, and 7 of 25 against Michigan State. This is a team that on the season shot nearly 37% from 3, and yet in their last 2 games is shooting under 30% from beyond the arc. So again, nothing's guaranteed. Yep. You're in a different venue once again, so that's not really maybe going to help you. But a team that has been inconsistent on offense, a team that is much better from a shooting perspective, has not shot the ball well, floating just around 33% from beyond the arc for this tournament so far. We have yet to see their best on offense, and here they are, 3-1 ATS in the tournament, have covered 3 straight in the Final Four and playing consistently on defense. I do think that means something for them.
So a bet that I put into the account today was first half under 76.5. I think ultimately for the contest, I'll probably go under in this one. And it's not just basically, solely off of, hey, this is in the Alamo Dome and sightlines, et cetera. And look, it's going to be a hold on to your butt special because Florida is a team that certainly can get up and go, as we know. And from an offensive standpoint, this team is tremendous. And so is Auburn. But I think the familiarity from these two teams, despite both of these teams, JVT, being second and third, Florida and Auburn, respectively, in offensive efficiency, I do feel like the defense could step up here. And, with a little familiarity, these two teams played, of course, earlier in the year. I think we could see a little bit of a struggle out of the gate. And, we heard from Evan Abrams, and, take it for what you will, if you like trends or however you want to look at it. But we've seen 15 Final Four games or championship games have a total of 160 or higher, and they are 10-5 to the under. So I think we could see a little bit more of a sluggish game if this one plays out the way that we expect. And then Houston and Duke, I just wanted to point this out, and Jim Root had mentioned it, JVT. How about the fact that last year when these two teams played, 56 possessions between Duke and Houston. Total of 136 is really low, but man, I could see it for Houston. If you like Houston, it'd be in a bit of a grinder to the total.
Less than 60 possessions, huh?
Whew. Hey, thanks to Jim Root. Thanks to Zach Cohen, Evan Abrams, and Steve Sands. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes. For JVT, I'm Tim Murray. Joe Serralo coming up next right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.